Hey guys, Craig here, product manager at Broker Engine. We're in sort of interesting times right now, and a lot of people have been forced to work remotely and to work remotely and apart from each other that may have been working in an office environment. And look, I've been working remotely with my team, brokers and my back office team, for all of my working career, pretty much since about 2008, 2009. And so I wanted to share a couple of tips that I hope that may be helpful for you as we go through these times. And the first one is, I had a call from a broker just now that sort of said, look, how do you make sure the back office team aren't doubling up? So the broker might have, maybe there's a task to follow up a lender, and the team are calling up the lender only to find out the lender's already called the broker and the broker knows all the data, but the broker's forgot to pass that to the team. Now, if you're working in an office environment, the PA or the assistant or the back office team would have maybe overheard that conversation, or, broker Freddie just turns around and says, hey, Mary, that was, CBA, this is what's happening, right? Working remotely, we forget to sort of pass on that detail. So the way we solved that inside of my practice, and we solved that a few years ago, so it wasn't, we found out the hard way. The way we solved that in our practice is twofold. The first one is that the back office team will not do any work for a broker until the broker checks their task list, whatever your task list is in, whatever it is. They've got to check their tasks that are due for that day, and they've got to make a note to the team in a public group chat, so on Teams or Slack or whatever you're using, Skype, whatever you're using to communicate with your team. They've got to make a note on that says something like, good morning team, I've checked my task list, everything in there needs to be done. So what the broker would do, of course, is jump into their task list and they'd go, oh, look, actually, that settlement checklist, I'm going to push that out to tomorrow, it doesn't need to be done today, and it'll then sort of jump out of the team's task list. And maybe they make a note about why they did that. But the point is to make sure that the broker comes in here and that everything that needs to be done in here is actually needs to be done. So, for example, if I received a call regarding, this client here, for example, and I might just quickly make a note, lender call template, I, quickly make a note using a template and then push the due date of that out until the next day. And what that means is that's not when the team come in the morning, the back office team come in the morning to do the deals, do the tasks. They're not doing tasks that don't need to be done. So the key thing with that, I think, is, brokers will be hesitant initially, but look, it's got to come down that, until you have checked your task list, we're not going to do any work for you. We'll do probably submission work for you because they need to be done, but there will be no lender follow-ups done for you. So that's a good one. And again, message on your Teams or Slack once the broker's done that to keep everyone accountable and on the same page. The second one, I think, is, when you're sitting with your team in your office and you sort of shuffle papers from your desk to their desk, that's quite easy. You can say, hey, Mary, can you order me a valuation or something like that? When you're working remotely, it's not quite as easy. And what you want to do, of course, is you want to make sure that you're giving the team everything they need so they don't have to keep coming back to you. If it's in an office and they have to ask you a quick question, was that a full val or a AVM or a desktop, or who am I contacting for that valuation as one example? It's quick, order it for 500 grand or whatever. When you're in a remote environment, you want to make sure that you're sort of giving the team everything they need. So we use the concept of task templates. So for example, we'd have a template for everything. And if I want to order a valuation, I've got a little template there. I'm using Broker Engine here, but you'd use whatever system you're using. And effectively in the template, the broker just goes, it's got a template here and the broker's just got to fill in the gaps, who am I ordering it with, ING, who's the contact for access, I'll just say the client, what type do I want, maybe I want a full val, for example, pretty hard these days, and then, the estimated value, COS or something like that. So I'd use a template for that, and what that does is it makes sure that the team have everything they need. If you forget to tell them what type of valuation you want, or you forget to tell them how much, who's the contact for access, then that ends up being they get halfway through the valuation ordered. They're on RP Data or wherever they are ordering the valuation. I wouldn't even know how to do one these days, to be honest, but wherever they're ordering the valuation, they'll be halfway through it and they've got to stop and wait for you to respond. If you're in the office, easy, but if you're working remotely, it then means they've wasted probably 5-6 minutes of their time. So you template everything is would be one of my second tips to ensure that when you're delegating work, you're delegating everything that needs to be given to them. And the same would apply to pricing templates. You've got a pricing template and an evaluation order template and a discharge authority and so on. And look, there's plenty more, but I guess the third one I'll just quickly cover is on, you know, when you're working remotely, we have what we do is a weekly meeting every Friday at 11 o'clock, and we get everyone on a Zoom, or for us it's Teams, and you know, everyone's got their camera on, and when we follow a bit of an agenda. And the agenda that we follow is, you know, everyone starts with a bit of good news. So, you know, it's everyone, the entire team shares something, you know, they've done recently, or something that's been good in their lives. We report on weekly commitments. So if there's been some commitments from team members to improve a process here, or to implement something over here, or to improve efficiencies, or to implement a system into our practice, or whatever the commitment might have been, we report on commitments and make new ones to the team. We talk about what's happening at the coalface. That actually ends up being a little bit longer generally, but this is a discussion we have. You know, like if you're in the office environment and you've got brokers all around you, you know, and the broker receives a call from, you know, a bank, you know, and the bank says, "I'm not going to do that deal because of X, Y, Z." That gets shared around the office really quickly. Oh well, you know, this X bank's not doing loans for you know, vets anymore, or casual employees anymore. It goes around really quickly. When you're working remotely, that sort of information doesn't get shared very well. So the idea of that coalface is to share those things that have happened. So both for the brokers and also for the team. So the brokers might comment on recent policy or policy changes, and the team and the back office team might comment on process changes or things that have happened there. There's then often a little bit of training, and then we sort of do a one phrase close where each member rates the meeting and just says what was good about it or what could have been better. And the idea of that is to make sure that is to keep the team accountable. We're going to be we want the team, when they get off this call, to go, that was valuable. I learned something, or at least, you know, I learned something. I mean, it's obviously good to get the FaceTime in there so you still feel as part of the team, but you want to feel that they've learned something, they've got some value from that. So the idea of rating the meeting is to provide that accountability to everyone to turn up and contribute. That's a few tips there from me that I've learned over the years. There's obviously many more things out there, but they would be three things to consider in your practice. Craig Vaughan here, product manager at Broker Engine. Talk to you soon.